Hey guys, and welcome back, and we are talking governance today, and that's why it's important in blockchains. Let me put it to you this way. Without governance, all the coins that you're buying would be worthless, so you better get to know why it is critical to get good blockchain governance. I've had some excellent feedback over the past couple of weeks about my videos, which I'll incorporate into today's content if that's okay with you guys. The purpose of these videos is definitely not to teach you facts about a subject. Instead, it's about sharing my observations, which will help you form your own opinions. That's what we want. We want blockchain experts. If I do a good job, smash those likes and subscribe. It means a lot to me and to know that I'm on the right track for you and to let others know to look at this content as well. So, with that in mind, let's get into it. We'll be talking a lot about governance with the EOS blockchain as an example, as they are an excellent case study because of the opinionated approach they took in their recent launch. So let's start with what is governance and how to apply that to blockchain. Governance is the oversight and course correction of an ecosystem to achieve its goals. If you're new to blockchain, what I mean by an ecosystem is blockchain is about a bunch of people interacting in a kind of community to share assets that have value. These assets could be a currency, like in the case of Bitcoin, or smart contracts in the case of a decentralized app platform like Ethereum or EOS. Now, governance of a currency compared to an application platform is an interesting topic in itself. The number of possible interactions within a community tends to dictate the need for governance. Now, currency, like Bitcoin, is capable of only a small and simple set of interactions, limited to the transfer of assets between two parties. Now, remember this point. The negotiation of why the transaction is taking place is done off-chain, in the real world, if you like. An application platform like EOS or Ethereum is a different matter. Unlike a blockchain-based currency, a decentralized applications platform does the negotiation while a transaction is taking place on-chain. So the difference between the two in terms of governance is when the negotiation takes place. But let's dig into that. Why do these actually need governance? After all, they're just software, aren't they? Well, as I've said, blockchains are a community, not just some software. The software defines how that community interacts. Now, because it's a community, some people will play by the rules and some people just won't. Some people may interpret the rules in one way and some in another way. How do we fix that? Well, let's roll back. Blockchains, they are a software, but the rules about how people interact on the software are very rarely perfect, and therefore flaws exist which need to be ironed out as time goes by. Now, this happens all of the time in the real world. If I see an unrecognized purchase on my credit card, I go to my bank and I tell them. They then go away independently and figure out if I've spent that money or if the card was used fraudulently. That's arbitration. Now, whether a blockchain system needs the capability to arbitrate and the specific form arbitration takes is a governance decision. Do you get it? So, governance is not the act of arbitration, but the decision about the form arbitration takes. Let me give you an example. Some users of EOS, the new blockchain that raised $4 billion in investment last month, have suffered some fraud where someone sold them something which was misleading. Who decides whether that was wrong? Who rights this wrong? Should anyone be doing anything at all? Is it the blockchain owner? Well, who do you think? As you can imagine, there are many ideas on this. On the launch of EOS in June 2018, the EOS blockchain had a particular view and wrote a constitution. A constitution, as you know, is a list of agreed behaviours to which the community signs up to in return for being allowed to participate in that community. I'll link to the EOS one below, but make sure you view the one from May the 30th, as the wording can be changed by contributors at any time. You can use the history button on the website to check which version you're looking at. When you read the document, you can see it as English worded statements like Article 2, perjury, no member shall be liable for losses caused by false or misleading attestations and shall forfeit any profit gained thereby. A worthy sentiment indeed. The initial constitution was created by Dan Larimer, the Chief Technology Officer for EOS. I should point out that Dan has also developed a number of other crypto-related ecosystems, such as BitShare and Steam, the blockchain social network. So he's got quite a bit of experience in this space. All this seems great, and obviously made with good intention, but there is one article that has caused, I think it's fair to say, significant amount of grief over the past few weeks that EOS has been live, and that is specifically Article 12. Now, all disputes arising out of or in connection with this constitution shall be finally settled under the rules of arbitration of the International Chamber of Commerce by one or more arbitrators appointed in accordance with the said rules. Couldn't remember that one. What rules? Although EOS has a constitution, it is hardly law, and if I may offer an opinion on the constitution, it is written with wonderful sentiment, but worded somewhat naively. But the rules still need to be enforced, and to that effect, EOS has an arbitration function should someone break these simply written articles of the Constitution. EOS operates with three main parties, token holders, block producers, and the ECAF, or ECAF. The EOS token holders are the holders of money, you and me. The block producers are computer systems that authorize money transfer, a bit like TransferWise. That's not quite right, but it's still an automated kind of transfer process. Then there is the EOS Core Arbitration Forum, or ECAF. Now, the EOS Core Arbitration Forum, which I'll shorten to ECAF, are the people who decide whether participants of EOS are behaving in line with the Constitution. It seems like a solid approach, but the clean operation of the EOS ecosystem that we expected has really not happened. An ECAF arbitration froze accounts, but gave no reason why. A block producer didn't act on an arbitration, which caused the loss of around $27,000 for one token holder. And then the high use of arbitration has created this kind of overwhelming flood of requests to ECAF that maybe they can't deal with. Let's look at a couple of recent arbitration events and see how they actually went. Now, on the 17th of June, block producers unanimously blocked 7 wallet addresses from EOS without warning, without explanation, to general token holders at least. This just simply happened. Now, while later the ECAF issued an order, they retrospectively applied this, approving the block. Now, on June the 24th, Sam Sapoznik from the ECAF told block producers not to process transactions from a further 27 different wallet addresses. This shouldn't be a problem, should it? They're acting in the best interests of the community, and therefore all is good. Isn't it? Well, of course, lots of news went out with bloggers and vloggers, and the claim was that EOS wasn't following due process and so on. And there was a good reason for that. Well, it turned out that the ECAF order was a fake. ECAF orders are sent out on PDFs, which of course can be easily modified. A major block producer, EOS New York, issued a statement after spending what they classified as a significant amount of time determining the authenticity of the document. That statement said this, that they were no longer listening to any order claiming to be the opinion of ECAF. What this really did, from our point of view of viability, was to show a gaping hole in how ECAF is operated and how EOS is really centralised because of the governance model of a central regulated body, or regulatory body. On June the 22nd, ECAF issued a blacklist of wallet addresses that should not be allowed to trade anymore on the EOS system. 20 of those block producers complied with the demand, but one called EOS Store did not, which allowed the transactions by these accounts to go through. This allowed a loss of $26,500. When questioned, again on the Telegram channel, in the EOS Governance one anyway, the block producer apologised, saying that he was late in updating the blacklist. Then he said he didn't actually attend the meeting that the others did, so he didn't know to block them anyway. Again, another gaping hole which needs to be filled. If you are going to have a centralised organisation, you better turn up to the meetings, boys. This isn't the ECAF's fault directly, but the governance model around how the ECAF operates. Specifically, there is a problem around how centralisation, ECAF is connected to decentralized, in other words, the block producers. This is a problem that needs to be solved, and the community recognise it. A few days ago, at the end of June 2018, Dan Larimer, the original inventor of EOS, posted on the Telegram channel that he's suggesting a change to the constitution after taking into account recent events. Great. Well, it was more than that actually, as one Telegram user asked Dan if he was proposing to replace the whole constitution, and Dan responded with one word: yes. Basically, the fundamental principles of EOS are being removed and replaced. Block One, Dan's development company behind EOS, proposes now that the code is law.
Holy crud! He's a sitting duck out there.
He knows what he's doing.
Which means that whatever is written in the smart contracts is enforceable and no arbitration will take place should the code run as intended. The concept of a Ricardian contract is being used here. A Ricardian contract, the concept of which was developed by Ian Grigg in 1996, is a contract written in a mathematical language rather than English prose, but with text embedded into it to describe what the purpose of the code is, its intent. Now, should the contract that two people enter into run as intended, then there is no problem that the ECAF will administrate against. Any arbitration, therefore, is only necessary if there is a bug in the code and that code did not execute as intended. This means that no judgment by ECAF on fraudulent schemes. Instead, block producers will be the judge and jury and use votes to cast judgment on whether something such as the loss due to fraud should be changed. Of course, nothing is smooth sailing, and Block One has received significant criticism for this approach, as to some, the Constitution was the defining point of the EOS blockchain over and above Ethereum and others. You will see how this plays out, as will I. Right, time to wrap up anyway. As I said in the intro to this video, this is me sharing observations over and above the reporting of news. So here's my take. We've seen why governance is necessary. It is for the clean operating of a fledgling system, which needs a guiding hand sometimes as it kind of shapes itself. Blockchains are not just systems, they are ecosystems where people interact both with good intention and with bad intention, and this needs to be managed somehow. The need for governance grows if negotiation of an asset transfer is done on-chain rather than off-chain, so Bitcoin doesn't suffer this as much as EOS does. Bitcoin's negotiations of a transaction occur outside of the network, so it doesn't care. This leads to the need for a constitution or rule set of how people should behave, and bad behaviour is dealt with. Governance of the Constitution often takes the form of a centralised organisation, but has to distribute to a decentralised audience. And we need to figure out how centralised bodies such as ECAF connect with decentralised bodies such as the block producers. Without this, we suffer inaction, which in a recent case led to the loss of funds. Ultimately, blockchain ecosystems are trying to create a new society in kind of many ways, and the age-old problems of democracy versus dictatorships and communism versus capitalism are still really relevant today. And sometimes, you just have to stop pretending you're in control, give in and tell people to stick to the letter of the law and not make personal judgments, as is the case with Dan Larimer's new constitution recommendation. Time will tell how this unfolds. I hope this video is more accessible than my previous videos, and it's much longer than I expected, but I hope it's been useful to you. As always, smash the likes and please subscribe. That lets others know to take a look at this, and it's much appreciated from me directly to you. So with that, I'll see you next Tuesday.